Yo, what's going on? Welcome back and welcome in. We got a great show for you guys. I got 7 key games, some wagers you should probably make right now, a pay for the drinks parlay, and of course, we're going to get you out of here with some Mikey Core. But before we do that, make sure you guys are subscribed to the Sports Line YouTube. That's where all the NFL content is going to live. And make sure you like and subscribe to this video, please. I'm going to do a $200 giveaway in the comments of this episode because I forgot to do last episode. So throw a comment in there. Doesn't have to be nice. Doesn't have to be cool. Whatever you want to do. Give a play. Drop a play. Whatever it is, just comment on this video for a chance to win $200. Let's get to the show. As always, we start every episode with a little bit of recap on our key games. Last week, we were on fire. Some might even say nails. I'm going to say nails. Got Vandy at the closing spread of 3.5. That was huge. They were a bad first half away from winning that game. Indiana puts up the over almost by themselves. Mississippi State plus 4.5 and the money line, both those hit. The Mississippi State team of this year is going to go down in the Mikey Overs Hall of Fame because they're just one of the most electric wagons we've ever had in our entire life. We took Ole Miss minus 12.5. That smacked. Oklahoma plus 3.5 was an outright winner. Nebraska covered. And then we took Cincinnati, which was a really bad wager. But shout out the Duke Blue Devils. We talked about it. The week after I think they're going to play good, they end up playing good. So we took them against Clemson, and they made Cade Klubnik cry. Just a brutal look out of the kid. How about Scott Frost getting just absolutely spanked around by Baylor? We knew that was going to happen. We fade Scott Frost in his household. He's a horrible dude. He's a horrible human being. So that's why we took the Baylor Bears. Hugh Freeze has let go at Auburn after we pretty much put them in everything possible with Ashton Daniels at quarterback. I don't know how to feel about that. If you're an Auburn fan, it just kind of feels like since Cam Newton, things haven't been able to been put together. And I felt like when you listen to Hugh Freeze speak, he was going to be one of those guys where he was going to be able to put it together. He was starting to get guys to the door like a Cam Coleman and Jackson Arnold that I think a lot of people thought 2 years ago. Last year, maybe still had some juice in him, and it just never seemed to click. So I don't know what you do with Hugh Freeze. Everybody's getting fired in college football right now. James Franklin lost his job. Brian Kelly finally lost his job. And that one needed to happen. Brian Kelly getting fired is one of the most needed to happen spots of all time. We talked about it on multiple episodes. He's just a guy that you wouldn't want to get a beer with, you wouldn't want to hang out with, and that's kind of what you need in a football coach, which is why Beamer at South Carolina, I really hope he never gets fired because he's just a guy that you want to get a beer with, you want to hang out with, and you want to just spend a little bit of time with the guy because he seems like a good guy. Brian Kelly just seems like the guy that would make fun of you in front of the girls you're trying to hit on at the bar to try to get them to like him. You know what I mean? Like he's changing the accent his first week. He's going on the tilt-the-whirl with the recruits. He's just a weird dude. But he lost his job, and now the college football playoff is officially underway in terms of we had our first ever mock bracket. We have Memphis playing Georgia with Alabama on the bye, our national champion Alabama. Oregon playing Texas Tech with Ohio State on the bye. Virginia squeaks in playing Ole Miss with Texas A&M on the bye. Notre Dame playing BYU with Indiana on the bye. 2 Big 12 teams, that's kind of a shock. 1 ACC team, we kind of saw that coming. Wow, this would be a crazy bracket. Obviously, this isn't how it's going to end up shaking out, but I still love Alabama in this bracket. The fact that they get to play Ohio State, I really don't feel like Ohio State has been tested yet, to be totally honest with you. Now that we're late in the season, I feel like that Ohio State team is kind of ripe for the picking to get knocked off. The fact that Indiana could potentially get Notre Dame again in this mock one, man, that would be exciting. We got a great episode for you guys. We got week 11 on the horizon. We've got 7 key games, some wagers we got to go through, a pay for the drinks parlay, and all the rest. So let's get right to it. We start our key games off with BYU traveling to Texas Tech as a 10.5 point underdog. BYU currently undefeated, squeaked out yet another unbelievable win last weekend. Texas Tech, the other demon in the Big 12. I feel like this is one of those spots where you just kind of have to trust Vegas and go, I think a lot of people are going to click BYU. And listen, clicking BYU has worked in every spot this year. And I'm not saying that because I've clicked against them. I have. But it just kind of feels like, and I was having this conversation with someone at work, it feels like the books don't respect BYU. It feels like one of those teams where they don't want to give BYU their respect. So it honestly, with the way my brain is working after a BYU just did Iowa State and how confident I was in Iowa State, I genuinely don't know what to believe about this game. I think I'm going to buy Texas Tech down to 9.5 and take Texas Tech. I wouldn't be shocked if a lot of money starts coming in on BYU because everyone and their mother is going to be waking up Saturday morning hungover going, Dude, how do you not just take BYU at 10.5 points in your pocket after what they've done? They won the Holy War, then they went to Iowa State. Now they got to travel to Texas. So they're traveling back to back, which is always tough. But I think there are just some spots where you have to call Vegas's bluff. And then there are some spots where you have to go, okay, Vegas, I understand. And I think this is one of those you can feel comfortable following Vegas with 10.5 because why the heck is Texas Tech minus 10.5 to an undefeated Big 12 team? I don't care that they're on the road again. I don't care what's going on behind the scenes. How do you not take Texas Tech minus 10.5 here? Because I feel like Vegas would tell you if it was going to be a pick 'em. But then again, Vegas is built with coliseums in Las Vegas, Nevada, because of spreads like this when guys like me, they go, I'm going to take the 10.5. But first game of the day, ranked matchup, 8 plays 9. I'm going to take Texas Tech minus the points here. Next key game on the slate, number 2, Indiana traveling to Penn State as a 14.5 point favorite. I wrote in my notes, and I want this to be very clear, it's either Indiana or stay away from this game. I just don't see a world in which Indiana doesn't beat the brakes off of Penn State. You're looking at an Indiana team right now that is on a warpath from last year's team. You're looking at an Indiana head coach who since last year's college football playoff has been gritting his teeth, waiting to play football again just to prove everybody wrong. And they're doing it. Game over game over game. And by the way, if you think this spread would be caked if Indiana goes up 21 and they bring in the backups, Mendoza's brother was out there wheeling and dealing, cracking off 20-yard rushes. So I'm not really worried about if the backups come in because I think this Indiana team genuinely, and I wouldn't be shocked if they're holding the College Football National Championship trophy at the end of the year. This is an Indiana team that top to bottom, from Mendoza to Surratt to the defense, they have yet to have a game where we can point to genuinely and go, they're not who we say they are. They're not who they think they are. And that's tough to do in college football. There's been games with that for Bama. There's been games with that for Texas Tech. There's been games with that for Oregon. There's been games with that for for Georgia, for almost every other ranked team. And now we're sitting here and it feels like the books are somewhat respecting Penn State for what? They just lost to Ohio State by 24 points. And now they're only 14.5 point dogs at home to Indiana. I don't care if you wipe the stadium out. I don't care if you bring an actual tiger into the stadium. I don't care if you field the frickin' 2012 Patriots. This Indiana team is going to knock your block off. So Indiana minus 14.5. I think this gets out of hand. I think they do bad things to Penn State. I think they knock their block off. Next key game, you knew it was coming. The University of Georgia is playing at Mississippi State. We're taking the plus 8.5. We're taking the money line. There's one thing we do in this family, and if you're watching this video, you're a part of the family. And I want you to know that. You are a part of our family if you're watching this video. Mississippi State is our brother. Mississippi State is our big brother. Mississippi State is everything that this, whatever this is, what the red mic stands for. Mississippi State is one of the best teams against the spread this year, and we've been betting them since week 1. We took their win total before the year started at 3.5. It cashed in the first 4 games. Mississippi State is our wagon of the year. Crown them, put the cape on them, get them the gold jacket. This is my favorite team in college football this year. And now you're telling me, against Georgia, who I've been fading rather frequently and haven't lost many wagers against, is an 8.5 point dog at home? If you're like me and you've watched this Mississippi State team, Blake Shapen can turn this into a shootout if he wants. Blake Shapen can throw for 300-plus yards anytime he wants. Fluff Bothwell and Booth in the backfield can run through your face at a very high clip. They can keep every game competitive, and the books just can't seem to figure it out. So I'm going to keep standing over here going, give me more Mississippi State. Let it get to 9.5. Let it get to 10.5, because I'm still going to click the money line like I do every weekend, like we did last weekend and cashed. So I'm going to take Mississippi State plus 8.5. I'm going to take the money line. Again, I've said it multiple times. Gunnar Stockton just hasn't shown me it yet. Kirby Smart's the best coach in college football. He wins games, and that's what he does. But Gunnar Stockton has yet to show me it. I still don't have an it out of Gunnar Stockton, and that's why I just can't buy into this Georgia team just yet. Stetson Bennett could show you it. Gunnar Stockton is... all else fails, I'm going to try to run through somebody's face. And I do love that. Don't get me wrong. I love a psycho that just goes, yeah, I'm just going to run through that guy. And I'll get the first down that way. I love that. That's what I want my friend group to be when we go to the bar, is just a run through your face offense. But when I'm looking at a quarterback consistent game over game that I can bet on, I can't trust Gunnar Stockton with a lead. I can't trust Gunnar Stockton to hold a lead. So I'm going to take Mississippi State plus 8.5 here. We move to our next key game, which I know you're looking at that sidebar going, Mikey, why are some of these games on here? And I'll make it very simple. Kansas going into Arizona. If Jalen Daniels is still walking, still breathing, still putting the football helmet on, and still playing in the Big 12, we will bet him every weekend because I have a bug in my brain. I love the guy. For 3 years now, I've been betting on him, and last year with the injury, now he's healthy. I really thought Kansas was going to make a bid for the Big 12. That defense is really not good, and Jalen Daniels hasn't looked as good as he did 2 years ago, but it's still in there somewhere. And 4.5 points in my pocket playing an Arizona team that I don't believe in at all. If Jalen Daniels is still walking, if Jalen Daniels is still breathing, if he's still throwing the Jayhawks helmet on, we are taking Kansas plus 4.5 here. And I might sprinkle on the money line as well. I like taking shots like that. I like taking a shot at a money line at a plus 4.5 because you never know what could happen. But I think this is a perfect Kansas game. So we're going to take Kansas plus 4.5. Next key game, Oregon going into Iowa with a 6.5 point spread. This Oregon team, I feel, is weird. After they beat Penn State, I think everyone, me included, the country, the greater American football public, crowned them as one of the best teams in the country because we went, you just knocked off the people's darling, Penn State. But as that Penn State team kept playing football, they looked worse and worse. And now Oregon, it kind of feels like where we had them at that upper echelon on that mountaintop. Not that they've slid because of bad performances, but it just feels like maybe they're not who we thought they were. And this is the perfect, you're not who we thought you were spread. You're going into Iowa and you're only 6.5. I think if Indiana goes into Iowa, it's a much bigger spread. I think if Ohio State goes into Iowa, it's a much bigger spread. And unfortunately, if you want to compete in the Big Ten right now as Oregon, you got to match those spreads. You got to go into these places with the respect of an Ohio State, with the respect of an Indiana. And that's why I'm going to take Oregon minus 6.5. I think Dan Lanning, this is a disrespectful spread to me. And it's disrespectful because, yes, you had a 10-point loss to Indiana, and they're the best team in the Big Ten. I don't think many other Big Ten teams could lose by less than 10 points to Indiana, if I'm being honest with you, in a really, really, really high-caliber game. But then you kind of got to walk through Rutgers 56-10. That's a freaking shellacking. Then you hosted Wisconsin, which is, it's not a game you get up for. I've watched this Wisconsin team up close. I love the city. It was so much fun. But that Wisconsin game, all those guys went out the night before. That's a Friday where you go, we got Wisconsin coming in town. They've scored no points in 2 straight games. Yeah, let's hit the bars. Let's throw a party at the house. You know what I mean? So that's a walkthrough game, and now you're going to Iowa. This was the game you were looking forward to after Wisconsin because Iowa's been making some noise. They make it tough. That defense makes it tough. That defense will keep them in the game. However, this is a perfect Dan Lanning somehow makes Oregon feel like the underdog in that locker room, and they come out and they drop 46 on Iowa's defense. And Gronkowski, whatever the heck that kid's name is at Iowa, can't do a damn thing because that Oregon defense is playing like they're plus 6.5 underdogs. So this is my statement game for Oregon. This is I'm going to take Oregon minus 6.5 because this is your statement game. Iowa's made a lot of games very difficult for some really good teams. Now go in there and beat their brakes off. Do what Indiana would do. Do what Ohio State would do. This is my Oregon statement game minus 6.5. Dante Moore, you have to show that you can do it against a good defense. So now go do it against a good defense. Our next key game, the undefeated Aggies. Who thought we'd be saying that at week 11? Texas A&M going into Mizzou as 6.5 point favorites. I'm going to take Texas A&M minus 6.5 here. I know that's a pretty square play. I hate when people talk like that in gambling. I think it's just so annoying. But this is the spot where I'm just not going to be a dummy. I'm not going to click Mizzou, even though Mizzou, when they're at home this year, has covered some very, very, very sneaky spreads. They covered against Alabama. And now you're getting an A&M team that I genuinely do believe when I look at this A&M team, there is no letdown spot. They're playing this season like this is their season. There is not a game that they're not getting up for. There is not a game that they're going to sleepwalk through. This is a game where they're going in there going, we need to stay undefeated and we need to assert ourselves as Texas A&M because make no mistake, everyone in the background is going, oh, A&M's still in there, brother. A&M is still in there. that A&M is going to come out very, very soon, and the wheels are going to fall off in disastrous fashion. Nobody cares that you went into Death Valley and absolutely got Brian Kelly fired like Mikey Over said you would for 3 weeks. But here's the thing about it. Now you're the number 3 team in the country. You're first in the SEC. For some reason, you're still not getting the respect you should. You're undefeated and still not the number 1 team in the country. So now you need to go into Missouri and you need to assert yourself. Marcel Reed's Heisman campaign strengthens in this game. I think A&M punches them in the mouth in this game. And I'm taking A&M minus 6.5 because this team has yet to sleepwalk. And I don't think they will. Because now once you get to this late in the season and you still haven't tasted that loss, it's easy to get up. You're protecting the perfect season. You are protecting the perfect season. Now you get to go into Missouri with Bo Perbula and just do what you're supposed to do. And this is a do your job. A&M. You want to be the number 1 team in the country. You want the respect. You want people to stop saying, oh, the wheels are going to fall off. We know they will. We know they will. Then you got to go into Missouri and you got to do really bad things to that Mizzou team. And that's why I'm going to take Texas A&M minus 6.5. Our next key game, Auburn taking on Vanderbilt with a 6.5-point spread. Hugh Freeze officially fired. Ashton Daniels in his what seemed like the Hugh Freeze I'm going for broke game, changing the quarterback, changing everything. They end up getting absolutely smoked by a basketball school. Now you go into Vanderbilt after Diego Pavia. Almost legacy came back against Texas. And I think this is the unraveling of Auburn. I know the system of the new head coach. That's why we got the Florida cover against Georgia at the biggest outdoor tailgate. I don't see that happening with Auburn. I don't think an interim head coach is going to be the solution. When you listen to Hugh Freeze speak in those locker rooms, I feel like that team liked him. I feel like that team wanted to fight for him. And I don't know if it came down to his fault, to be honest with you. I just don't know if he got the right personnel. And normally when a coach gets fired, like a Brian Kelly, we're going to see that this week with Alabama, LSU. I feel like there's some guys in that locker room that go, dude, this guy just sucks. Like, I don't even want to play for him. I didn't really see that with the Hugh Freeze situation. I think it was just Auburn saying we have to move on. You're just not winning. Because I just don't think he got the right personnel. And I think personnel is going to be a problem here because Vanderbilt's going to cover this game. Diego Pavia, it was almost embarrassing. That first half, there was all this talk of, I'm the Heisman. Now I'm going into Texas. I'm going to beat Arch Manning. And Arch Manning was the villain to Diego Pavia's story. Diego Pavia had to get it out the mud. He had to go to New Mexico State. He had to earn everything. Nothing was given to him. And every time you hear about Arch Manning, it's that last name carries a lot of weight. And that was kind of like, that's what I assume the villain to Diego Pavia's story is. A kid that got everything off his last name against a kid that just everything he had to fight for everything. He had to beat you up and take it from you if you wanted it. And that's why I think Vanderbilt covers minus 6.5 here because he just lost Arch Manning. And that Texas team, oh, baby, they didn't like him at all. They were in Diego Pavia's face from the first snap of the ball. And he almost came back. He almost did it. That would have been a disaster for the Diego Pavia haters. Not that I'm a lover or a hater of Diego Pavia, but the haters of Diego Pavia, there are many. That would have been a disaster for you. I'm going to take Vanderbilt minus 6.5 here. I know the new coach system, whatever it is, it just doesn't matter. Diego Pavia wants to be in that college football playoff, and after losing to Texas, he has a chance now to bring Auburn into his home, which, by the way, we've talked about it so many times. He is a pit bull. And a pit bull at home is the scariest thing ever. A pit bull, when you walk up to the door and knock on its door and it can get to barking and it's comfortable, it's one of the scariest animals on planet Earth. And that's what Diego Pavia is. He's a pit bull, and now he's back at home, and he's going to make it very, very difficult for Auburn, and he wants to beat them by 30. He wants to, not that he wanted to lose Texas, but after losing to Texas, he wants to bring someone into his house, and he wants to beat them by 40. He wants to beat them by 50. He wants to go, hey, when I said I was the Heisman, I was being serious because I just threw for 400 on Auburn. And I think that's what he's going to do, so I'm going to take Vanderbilt minus 6.5. Our next sneaky key game, LSU is going into Bama. The only reason why I really don't want to spend a lot of time with this is because this LSU program and the state of it and where it's at is genuinely one of the saddest things I've seen happen to a program. Like, Brian Kelly took an LSU from Ed Orgeron and his successor and just ruined it. One of the coolest brands, one of the coolest teams, has produced some of the absolute studs of college football. Brian Kelly has driven into the mud, and I think it's going to take a couple years for this LSU franchise, I'm going to call it a franchise, to dig itself out of the mud. And I hope it takes 1 to 2 years. But the damage that Brian Kelly has done, Bama's going to put the exclamation point on it. Bama's going to put every exclamation point possible they can on this LSU team. And they're going to say, Brian Kelly, this one was for you, bud. Either way, if LSU's on a down year, if LSU's on a good year, when you beat LSU, you're the talk of the town. It still feels good no matter what. And now you're telling me Alabama gets to bring LSU into their home, which, by the way, this was supposed to be a clashing of college football playoff contenders. And now it's Alabama gritting their teeth going, you're telling me we have a limping LSU coming into our house. We are about to blow their block off. And I think that's what's going to happen. This LSU defense is horrific. This LSU offense can't figure it out. You're going to get Ty Simpson pass yards. I'm going to take that this weekend. Ty Simpson's going to throw for 300+, and Bama's going to run LSU out of the field. So I'm going to take Bama -9.5, -10.5, whatever the spread is. LSU's limping to the finish line for the rest of the year. And it's sad because they have great, like Gary, they brought back Nussmeier. They brought back Whit Weeks in the documentary. It looked like they were going to put it all together. But then Brian Kelly did what he does. He got out-coached. He's not a great motivator. The kids aren't behind him. He gets fired, and now Kellen DeBoer goes, oh, my God, we have a limping LSU. We are the Lion. If you're an LSU fan, go to the pumpkin patch this weekend. Get out and start buying the Thanksgiving decorations. Get all those things together. You don't need to put your TV on Saturday. Go do your wife's mental health day. Go to the spa, take her shopping, go to the Target. Do anything else other than tune into this game because it's going to be really bad for you. All right, those were the key games. Now let's move to some wagers that I think you should make right now with me because they're already locked in on my book. Just a couple. I'm trying to keep these episodes short. Also, leave in the comments what you guys think of this. Like, would you like me to talk more games? Would you like me to do less games? Would we like some more parlays? Just tell me what you guys like, what you're not liking. Maryland Rutgers. This is the over. This feels like the over of destiny we've been waiting for with Maryland and Rutgers. Now, if you've been following me for a long time, you've been watching this from the jump, I take almost every Maryland and Rutgers over for some reason. I think because I do like that Rutgers offense. It's the first time in a long time that Rutgers has an offense where they go, all right, well, we'll throw the ball. And Malik Washington is one of my favorite quarterbacks in college football. And we've missed on most of them. So don't get it twisted. We've missed on genuinely almost all of them. But this just kind of feels like the over of destiny. Not a lot of research, not a lot of, whoop-de-doo report. Let me hit the bing numbers. No, it's just the two teams I keep taking the overs of are playing each other. Let's get an over with a 1.5 point spread. Objections? I hope not. Duke at UConn. I genuinely believe that UConn is going to be one of the most public bet teams. I think everyone's going to look at that spread, and they're going to look at UConn's last performances, and I think it's going to be one of these, you open Twitter, you open Instagram, you turn your TVs on, and everyone's going, dude, UConn has a chance, and I'm going to sit over here and go, Duke just got in a shootout with Clemson, and now they're playing UConn in UConn, and I think a lot of people are going to say that UConn is going to be the biggest upset of the day. And I think it's one of those games where then they play Duke. Darian Mensah, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the country, gets to look at a UConn defense, and he throws silly all over him. And I'm going to take Duke -9.5 everywhere I possibly can. And if I get burned, I get burned. I'm also a Big East guy, so UConn, fuck you. But I'm going to take Duke -9.5. It's just the perfect spot where I think the whole world's going to be on UConn. They have a chance to pull off the impossible. They have a chance, and no one's talking about UConn. They're so good this year. And then Duke goes in there and go, holy crap, we're looking at Darian Mensah, not Deuce McBride over there, not Drizzy Drake over there, nor like that. Now they have to play Darian Mensah, and he's going to do very bad things. And by the way, that pass rush for Duke is going to get to that kid all night. Washington going into Wisconsin with an 11.5 point spread. How do you not click Washington? We're going to get more casual when we get off the key games because this is just me talking through stuff that I've already clicked the button of. How do I not just click Washington? I've been on Wisconsin team total. I've been on Wisconsin spread. We've hit it one time. Wisconsin is just like the program is done. I don't know how they're still bought into the guy over there, but I'm going to take Washington -11.5 just because if I don't and they win by 30, I'm going to feel like such an idiot. And I feel like that's okay to make wagers like that. Florida State at Clemson. Clemson money line is one of my favorite plays of the weekend. Cade Klubnik's crying. He's saying it's all over. He's saying he's playing his last couple games of college football. And I want to ride with the kid because I think unfairly to Cade, as a public for the last 3 years, we've been rating him as one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And I genuinely do believe if he got out of Clemson and got out of this Dabo project that ever since NIL kicked in, he hasn't been able to figure out for the life of him, that we'd be looking at Cade Klubnik a little bit different if he took the money somewhere else, if he went to a bigger school that had actual weapons and had an actual coach that knew how to handle the NIL era and get good guys around him. And Dabo Swinney couldn't do that for him. But I do think he ends the year right these next couple games. And I'm going to take Clemson money line, and I'm going to trust Cade Klubnik to get me across the finish line. I also just don't trust Florida State. All right, last couple games. Here we go. Florida going into Kentucky. Give me Florida minus 2.5. Kentucky now has burnt me. And that means this is a rage nuke, spite nuke against the University of Kentucky because you're a basketball school, and I'm not losing any more football money on you. So Florida, go into the basketball school and just win by 3 points. Minus 2.5, I'm taking Florida. It's just a spite bet. If you don't put your actual money on that, this is something that I need to do for myself personally, but I just want you guys to hold me accountable for when Kentucky wins again. Nebraska traveling to UCLA. No Dylan Raiola. The fibula's dust. I'm going to take UCLA money line here. I want to root for Nico. I've yet to be able to bet on UCLA and have the bet come through. The one time I take them against a spread against Indiana, they get their shit smoked out. So now I finally have a chance in a short spread against a team that's going to have a backup quarterback in. To take UCLA money line, no Raiola, they lose. UCLA money line. The last game of the week. And keep in mind, if you guys follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you'll see all the plays for the entire weekend. But I love doing these, and this has been really fun. Whenever the island gets up and moving, whenever at midnight, when you can't see your feet because you've had too many vodka sodas, that you can turn on the TV and go, yo, Hawaii's playing San Diego State in 20 minutes, dude. What do we do? And everyone's at the bar is like, dude, we take the Warriors on the island. We take the island. You trust the late night island, Hawaii plus 7.5. When the planes land on the island, we take the island. When we could take a plane to the island at midnight at the bar, you just trust that weird things are going to happen on that island. And we're taking Hawaii plus the 7.5. You don't need to research. You don't need to know who's playing. It's just when you're at the bar, and don't lock this in until like 11:40 at night on Saturday. Like, don't lock it in until you're literally on your last legs at the bar. All your buddies are like, yo, let's go this one. I got to go meet up with this person. And then while you're in the Uber, while you're walking, you just lock in Hawaii, shut the phone, wake up to units. Because that's just what Hawaii does. You trust the island. So we're going to trust the island late night. All right, we move to our next segment of the show, and our last segment before some Mikey Core, the pay for the drinks parlay. This one is sneaky. Texas Tech money line, Mississippi State plus 8.5, and the Maryland Rutgers over 58.5 plus 369. Once you get that 69 number at the end of the three, I'm all in on that one. So let's get to some Mikey Core. Unfortunately, today I don't have anything prepared, so I'm just going to have to speak. I really hope you guys are enjoying these episodes of whatever this is. I've really enjoyed doing them. It's felt really fun. But some Mikey Core today. I think something that I'm just trying to remind myself in my life is that you're going to get through it. It's been a tough couple months. It's been a tough couple weeks. You know, moving my life entirely to the state of Florida has been a lot, just mentally, emotionally. And it's been really tough. And I think just that battle every day, I just keep reminding myself that we're going to get through it. And I think that's what's important. It's not telling yourself that you're weak for having to go through something. It's not telling yourself that it's stupid that you feel this way about this. It's not telling yourself that you're weak because you're feeling bad or because you're feeling sad about something. I think it's just about reminding yourself that you're going to get through it. So just keep fighting. I'm waking up every morning, I'm just fighting. And I'm reminding myself that I'm going to get through it. And, you know, I think that's the thing about life is that, yeah, you're going to get through this thing, but there's going to be another and another and another. And it's not to say that life is always going wrong all the time, but we're humans. And that's the state of this human experience as things happen. Sometimes they're great. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes in the middle. Sometimes you're good. Sometimes you're just cruising. But there will always be another little bump. That's why there's valleys. That's why the highs can feel so good and the lows feel so low, because there is things in between. And there is that contradiction between the two of them. And I think just something that I'm trying to remind myself is that I'm going to get through it. And it's okay to keep fighting. And it's okay to not be okay some days. I do therapy, which has been massively helpful. And if you're going through something and you really feel like you're struggling, please, I urge you to go to therapy. It's been a lifesaver for me. It's been awesome. But yeah, I think just, you know, when those long nights feel long and those days feel like they're not ending and you're really just battling whatever's going on in your life, I'll just use this as a reminder that you're going to be okay, that you're going to get through it, that you're strong enough to fight through that battle. And yeah, there might be another battle after the battle you're going through right now, but it always makes you stronger. And I think that's something, too, that I'm starting to realize with the human experience is that everything makes you stronger, and it gives you a better perspective, and it makes you a better person. And the camera keeps turning off, so I guess I'm just going to say something I've been really working on is that everything I'm going through now, I'm just excited to be able to pass down to my kids or to be able to give advice to somebody. So if you're going through something, you're going to get through it. I promise it's going to make you a better person. It's going to make you stronger. And I love you. Hopefully you guys have a great week. Let's cash on some college football. Please like and subscribe and share with a friend. Love you guys.